For 6 months, I've been working away from home, living in my self-converted Mercedes Sprinter Campervan Monday to Friday, to save time and money commuting. Over this period, I've visited a campsite once a week and overnighted at dozens of pub stops and laybys in the area. This is my final week of that contract. In this episode, I'll be visiting a haven holiday park in Blackpool, spending my final night back where it all started in February, summing up my top 3 campsites and top 3 pub stops I've found on this journey, and saying goodbye to Broughton High before I embark on an 8-week contract in the Scottish Highlands. So this is it. This is the last week of my contract at Broughton High, just north of Preston. I've been working in this area since February, and this is my last week here. It could get emotional. It's been a hell of a journey, so whilst I've been staying out, I must have visited dozens of campsites, I've stayed at dozens of free stops, pub stops, lay-by. If you ever have any questions about where to stop in the North Preston kind of area, drop us a comment, drop us a message, something like that. I'll be happy to help. Later on, I'm going to be discussing my top 3 campsites and top 3 free stops. So I leave here on Friday. I've been on the road working here for 5 months. Before that, I were working at a school in Leyland and I was staying out there. I did that October till Christmas. So I've essentially been on the road since then. Before October, I was at a campsite in Scotland for 6 weeks. So, wow. So I've essentially been pretty much living in the van now for a full year, and my home's been somewhere where I kind of stay a couple of times a week. So let's see how this week pans out. That's day 1 complete, and it's time to get myself over to Haven Holiday Park for this week's big treat. So I've arrived at Martinmere Holiday Village, and check this out. There's actually a traffic jam to get into the holiday village. I have never come across this before. And it doesn't stop there. It just carries on. Well, I've arrived. Well, kind of. I've been asked to just park on the edge of the road because the person who has the play passes so that I can access the entertainment and swimming pool has unfortunately nipped out. Hopefully I don't have too long of a wait. Okay, I'm in. Apparently I've got to drive down this road, find Mill Hill and turn right. Found it. So apparently the touring pictures are down here and I've got to choose between number 1 and 58. Touring check-in, here we go. Okay, all parked up on a pitch that resembles something out of an apocalypse movie, complete with a random sock. The electric hookup point was absolutely covered in a bramble bush. Right then, that's me plugged in. And I only got a few pricks while I were trying to plug it in. Now that I'm all set up, let's go and have a tour of the park. The pitch that I chose is right next to the centre of the holiday park. This is the back end of the main building where the swimming pool and bar is. Across the road from this, we have a Nisa local where you can do your shopping. And a random cart hire building. Here's the reception area, which seemed incredibly busy. They have a resident ice cream truck and a Papa John's on site, as well as a Burger King, which actually appears like the main entrance to the holiday park. I chose to have the £14.50 fish and chips from Cook's of Blackpool, which to be honest, were aggressively average. Right next to the chippy, they've got this amusement arcade. And here we find the Stage Marina Bar, which is where they're going to do tonight's entertainment. To be honest, this room is probably the best on the park. It's very, very well decorated. Just check out the capacity. Nice. Next up, I went to the Boathouse Bar, which was a little quiet apart from some rowdy people in there. I wasn't sure exactly what were going on, so I just did a little bit more exploring, and then I thought about going for a swim, but the pool was actually closed, so I grabbed myself a pint. Tonight's entertainment is a rock band. I love rock. Really looking forward to that. Okay, so after I did that little bit of a tour, I came back to the camper van for a little bit of rest before tonight's entertainment. And what I've seen in the past couple of hours around the caravan site is a little bit grim. So those of a really squeamish disposition might want to forward for about a minute to avoid what I'm about to tell you. So here on Haven Holiday Park, so far I've seen, I'm going to start mild and work my way up to the most disgusting stuff. So there's I'm not sure if you can hear him, but there's a dad screaming and shouting in the caravan next to me. And he's been staggering around absolutely hammered since about 6 p.m. He keeps coming around the side of the caravan, just urinating on the floor around the back of the caravan. There is rubbish all over the site. That's just something I've witnessed so far. I've seen somebody asleep on a bench, absolutely hammered. Different guy, another person. I saw a massive argument in the bar. There were loads of screaming and shouting, bit of a ruckus, people looking like they were going to kick off. So I went and sat outside. The pool were closed, and I'm not entirely sure why. This is the grim stuff. So I did see somebody go around the back of a caravan and take a massive poo around the back of the caravan. And then after this person had stopped, a dog came and ate it. Absolutely vile behaviour, just unforgivably vile. It's minging. That is horrible. So it has come to the time where I'm going to go back to the bar. I'm sure these are developing scenes. I'm sure things are getting much worse on this holiday park. So I'm going to go and have a look at the rock band, and then I'll report back. Well, after that underwhelming performance, I quickly escaped that ruckus and I've gone on a little walk to see if I can catch a sunset. This is where I'll be walking tonight. Let's see what it looks like. Apparently there's some absolutely stunning birds on this walk. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I thought I'd be able to see more of this lake, but I think most of it is covered in reeds. Now this is what I was really looking for. Blackpool Tower off in the distance. This would have made a lovely sunset. Then I headed back towards the park and came across a discarded mattress just at the side of the road. And here's an Elson Point. So final thoughts on Haven Holiday Park. Now I'm back outside work. Yeah, I've had some time to reflect on the things that I saw. And as a camper van and touring park, it's probably pretty poor. It's really, really down there with, well, do you know what? It's the worst camping and touring park I've ever been to. It's quite tragic. But as a caravan park, all that kind of area were really nice and clean, looked really peaceful and things like that. Maybe it's just attracting the wrong kind of clientele on the camping and touring side of things. Maybe that's it, because that's where all the rubbish was, that's where the mess was, that's the bit that it looks like it all needs resurfacing, it all needs relaying. It looks like some of that concrete might have been laid in like the 1960s, 1970s, and it's just tired and it needs all ripping up and starting again. The toilet blocks down there, I know I didn't film them, I totally forgot, if I'm perfectly honest. They were just old, kind of thin storage container looking things. That entertainment was really poor. I'd have expected a lot more from such a big company, really. It did sound like a couple of guys just doing karaoke. Yeah, so if they even wanted to improve that, I think they'd have to basically renovate, have some kind of policing system to stop the kind of things that I was witnessing on the campsite. Somebody to monitor litter, because that's not normal. That is not normal on any campsite. I've never seen that much rubbish, unless you're at like a festival or something like that. And if they're not going to renovate, I'd suggest maybe bring the price down to about £20, so it'd be in line with the quality that's provided. So right, that's what you should do, yeah. So they should lower the price to about £20, and then if you want to go and watch the karaoke entertainment, then charge extra for the play pass. Because if I went back again, which is incredibly unlikely, £20 I might do that, you know, I might do £20, but I wouldn't be wanting to go and watch the entertainment. The swimming pool was shut by the time I got there, and I'm not entirely sure why, so I literally had the play pass for no reason. Didn't want, need, or use it, apart from when watching the first song of that karaoke artist. Yeah, so drop it to 20, charge £13 if you want for an entertainment pass, and then call it a draw. Glad I did it, glad I experienced it, and it's given me some stories to tell, and there's definitely room for improvement. Okay, moving on. Okay, it's now Thursday and I'm on my way to stay at Broughton High for the final night of my contract. This is the kind of traffic that I've had to face driving past this pub ever since May. So that's me parked up and all set up and ready to head inside. Renovation's not entirely finished on the outside, but the inside, they're done and they're open. If you're going to stay here in a camper van, make sure you put your reg in on the bar. Job done. Now it's time to get a lovely pint poured by this legend. I enjoyed the pint out in the beer garden in the sun before exploring inside. The toilets have been renovated and they're looking rather swish, all clean and tidy and newly painted. In the bar area, they've kept the wooden beams and the wooden floor, and they've just spruced it up. It feels really fresh. The dining area looks spectacular. Back in February when I first stayed here, I had a ribeye steak, so I thought, as this is a full circle moment, I'll just have another ribeye steak, which came out well done instead of medium, but it was still pretty good. I didn't do any filming for the rest of the night. I was just concentrated on enjoying that last evening out on this contract. Good morning, and today is the last day of my contract at Broughton High. Last night I stayed at the Broughton Inn, and this is the car park just behind me. The car park is massive and definitely capable of fitting any size campervan or motorhome. This is where I stayed last night, nice and quiet, tucked away at the back of the car park. Here's the beer garden renovation with no one in it. Looks pretty nice. The roadworks are still going on and they're expected to continue for another week or so at least. So this is it. This is the last goodbye of Broughton High. It's the morning of the Friday. I'm about to set off from the Broughton Inn car park. School's only 200 yards away. That were quite a nice stay last night. I met some lovely people. As I went in, there were a load of staff from school as well. They were doing some leaving do for someone else who's leaving at the end of term. So I kind of gate crashed that party. And I had a right good time, you know. I got to know a couple of the members of staff a little bit better than I had done over the past few months. And then after I'd done kind of chatting with them, I went and sat outside. I ended up sat with a load of locals. There must have been about 10 of them. And I had a very good chat with the locals there. I had the ribeye steak. It was a little overcooked in comparison to last time that I had it here back in February. They must have changed chefs. I ordered it medium. Last time it was so juicy, it was perfect. This time it was definitely well done, even though I asked for medium. But lovely staff, lovely pub, 100% recommend it. But if you're ordering a steak, maybe order it rare if you want medium. This is it. Final goodbye to Broughton High. I then made that arduous 200-yard journey down this lovely straight road. Now I've arrived at work, it's time to get some breakfast on. This morning, I'm on some classically seasoned pork chipolatas. Sizzle, sizzle. Look at that beauty. And before I knew it, the day was over and I was walking through those school gates to the outside world for the last time. Then, it was driving away. Goodbye, Broughton High. So, that's it. I no longer work at Broughton High School. After work, the head came and he had a word with me, thanked me for everything that I'd done. He was very, very, very complimentary of the services that I've been given. He had nothing bad to say about me at all. He really appreciated me helping him out when they were in a tough situation. So thank you very much, Mr. Boats, for having me. I'd also like to give a nice special mention to Craig, who sorted me out with the agency and things like that. So thank you, thank everybody at the school, and just congratulate that whole school generally, because it's the best regular school that I've ever worked at, and it's been a privilege to work at such a great place. It's been pretty difficult walking out of there today. I almost got emotional, but it's over and we're now moving onwards. So now that that's over with, it's time to have a look at those top 3 campsites and top 3 pub stops. Back in the Rosendale Valley now, for 5 days until I set off on my next adventure. So here's my breakdown of the best 3 campsites north of Preston. In at number 1 has to be Bridge House Marina and Caravan Park. That one takes the number 1 spot just due to its incredible quality. Facilities were perfect, it had a bath, it had entertainment on midweek, right on the canal, absolutely stunning. So in at number 2, we've got something a bit different. That's Smith Hills View campsite. And the reason that one's in it is because it was very festivally. So that place was incredible. I had the whole entire campsite to myself. And the owner were really friendly. They had some problems with the showers, but they actually ended up getting back to me and they've fixed them now, and it's absolutely perfect. So in at number 3 is Little Stubbins Caravan Park. That was the best little campsite and really, really budget friendly. Only 6 or 7 pictures and really, really friendly owners. They came round and they checked everything were okay. So thumbs up to Little Stubbins campsite. Now, let's talk pub stops. So the best pub stop in North Lancashire has to be Farmyard Brewery up near Lancaster. Because honestly, who doesn't want to have a sleepover at a brewery? Next up has to be Clark's Farm and Pudding Shed. So at Clark's Family Farm and Pudding Shed, the owners were fantastic. They brew their own cider. It was nice, quiet stay. All the food was locally sourced. And who's not to love somewhere like that? Support British farming. And in at number 3, we've got the Broughton Inn, only 200 yards away from school. They have had a fantastic renovation. They do great food, the staff are lovely, and I've met the locals, and they're all great too. So, this Friday I set off up to the Scottish Highlands, where I'm going to be living in my camper van for 8 weeks. Whilst there, I'm going to be recording weekly videos and shorts. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. And I'll see you in Scotland.